I want to go ahead and let you know that I am looking forward to today's conversation. This is Lauren Fogelman with Business Success Solution, and the topic is Level Up Your Firm, Business Coaching for Accounting Firm Guest. And my special guest today is Dina Martin. Some of the things that we're going to be focusing on is strategies to be able to move forward even when you might be getting in your own way or feeling stuck. How to be able to decide whether you want to move in the direction of coaching or not, and what would be a best fit for you, like some of the outcomes to expect. So those are some of the things we're going to be covering, and I suggest you have pen and paper ready. Dina is going to be sharing a lot, and then we'll let you know how to connect with her as we wrap up. Dina Martin is founder and CEO of Smooth Sailing Business Solutions, LLC. She supports micro business owners and has been doing that since 2005 with helping them with comprehensive management, accounting, and educational services. As an advanced certified QuickBooks Pro advisor with over 20 years of experience, Dina specializes in consulting and training on QuickBooks to effectively handle those back office tasks and reduce their bookkeeping stress. She mentors clients to fully utilize the software features, streamline processes, and gain confidence in their accounting skills. She's also known for her enthusiasm and knack for problem solving. Dina believes that because micro businesses are so vital to their communities, they deserve top-tier support and resources to achieve success. And you can find more about Dina Martin at Smooth Sailing Business Solutions at smoothsailingbusinesssolutions.com. Anyway, Dina, I just want to say so thank you for having this conversation with me. And before we jump in, would like to know how you end up becoming a firm owner. Like, what was that path like for you?
Wow. Long time ago. What I found was that my employers were noticing that I was really good at what I was doing as a bookkeeper for them. So they started recommending me to their friends and their family. So I was doing more and more bookkeeping on the side and in the evenings. And it just really occurred to me then that there's a real need for this out there, that the little guys, and I'm still, even so many years later, still prefer to work with the micro businesses. They don't have the funds or to really have somebody on staff to do that for them all the time. And they're running their businesses, so they don't really have the time and energy to devote to their bookkeeping. So it was that lightning bolt moment that made me decide to go ahead and go out and start my own business.
And I love the thought of you really helping those smaller businesses. So I would like to just get on the same page with you. How do you define a micro business?
Usually it's 5 or less employees. In my really small rural community, we really survive on the mom and pops, the little sole proprietors, the home house cleaners, the fix-it guys, and we've got a good tourism industry here. So a lot of the businesses downtown, retail businesses are owned and operated by the owners. So sometimes we've got people complaining that downtown shuts down at 6 o'clock, and it's because the owners want to go home for the day. So yeah, that's the way I define that.
And at some point, you decided that you wanted to seek out a business coach. Was there
Mhm.
something going on that made you move in that direction to see if that might be something to help you in your firm's growth?
Yeah, the first time I'd ever been to an accounting conference was in 2018, and I just was flabbergasted from everything I saw, the different people I spoke with, because I had been in my own little silo this whole time and coming up with my own processes, doing things my own way. I had no idea there were apps. I was working in desktop. And once I realized that there was so much more that I could achieve than what I had already created for myself, I realized that I needed somebody else's help. I clearly didn't have the experience to make those changes. I didn't know what was possible, and I needed somebody else to kind of coach me through making changes and advancing my business.
Well, I just want to say the decision to go to a conference and kind of like get out of your comfort zone a little bit is a big move. I want to acknowledge that. And there is so many ideas that happen at conferences. It sounds like it opened up your world a little bit.
Oh, it was amazing. I went in with a certain expectation, and even after the very first session, the very first day, my mind was blown. I was so energized and excited, and I hadn't even like gone to see the vendors yet. And
Mhm.
just the enthusiasm of everybody around me just really charged me up, and it was a great experience. I really wish I had done it much, much earlier in my firm's history, because I can't even imagine where I'd be today if I had started going to conferences much sooner.
And I know that when you make that decision to look for a business coach, there's a lot of thoughts, pros and cons that come up.
Mhm.
Some of them are hope about solutions, and then others might be doubts of, will this really work? So, did you have any specific doubts that were coming up for you?
Um, there were, but it was more self-imposed. It was doubts about my own ability to follow through. I have ADHD and I've struggled with it for, basically my whole life. And I know myself enough to know that I have a hard time taking on new habits and increasing my self-esteem and all sorts of things that really are needed when it comes to changing your business or operating at a certain level. So I was more concerned about myself going into that process. I had Go ahead.
No, I'm listening. You're doing great.
No, I had found a coach I was interested in working in, so I wasn't didn't have any hesitation or concerns about her necessarily. I knew I had picked a good one. I was more concerned about myself.
And was there anything that you were able to do to kind of help you then get out of your own way, put those doubts aside so that you could move forward?
Tough love, I guess. I don't know if I necessarily put those doubts aside. At first, when I first signed on, it was $500 a month, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that is so much money. And but I went ahead and bit the bullet because I knew I wasn't going to be able to make change if I didn't take this leap. So, I wasn't charging enough. My clients were walking all over me. I was still working in desktop. My workflows were terrible. So I knew I just needed to take that leap and just jump right in. I was fortunate in that we had in the beginning we would check in weekly, so I had a lot of accountability, and that really really helped set me at ease because I knew I needed to get things accomplished before the next meeting. So that really helped a lot.
And I want to acknowledge that it sounds like you did something that felt courageous. You didn't necessarily have the confidence and it was more about you than about this particular business coach, but that you were able to put your concerns aside enough to jump in. And $500 a month is significant. It has skin in the game. And I think that when you actually make that commitment,
Mm.
you're going to follow through because you want to get a return on your investment. Is that part of what helped you also?
It is, but also, even after the very first time we spoke, I was inspired and I realized that I had made the right decision.
Mhm.
And, she even made some mind shift changes with me, even in the very first meeting. And, I could see that working with her was really going to end up paying off. So I was excited after that. Yeah.
And one of the things you're mentioning is that the paying off. I believe that when you're moving this direction, where you're hiring someone to help you with the process, it ought to be an investment as opposed to a cost. There ought to be that hope and payoff. So when you first started working, was there maybe some specific challenges you were facing your firm that you wanted to help have that assistance with overcoming?
Yeah, the first and foremost was pricing. I knew I was charging much too low. I mean, I started working with her in 2021 and I had some clients I was only charging 45 an hour for. And I look back on that and again, I'm really surprised how recent that was. And she really helped me understand my worth and realize that I shouldn't undercharge with the assumption of the audience I have here in this small little community, that they can't afford it, which isn't the case at all. I mean, I'm turning away business now, and my current rates 3 times that. So, and I've gotten there because of her help. So I think pricing was the biggest thing, and then help with learning to delegate work, coming up with scopes. I didn't have scope or engagement agreements for any of my clients. So there was all sorts of areas that I knew I needed to buckle down on, and she was very instrumental in getting me help with that.
It sounds like you now have some systems in place that you didn't have before.
Yeah.
And the really great thing that I see about starting to put those systems in your business is that they protect you.
Yeah. And you
yeah,
can
go
fall
ahead.
back on them.
Yeah.
I mean, once you put them in place, if you start to stray, you're like, wait a minute, why are we doing that? We know we're supposed to be doing it this way. And yeah, most definitely.
And I think the other thing that occurred with your transition, what I'm picking up, is that it went from being something where you were maybe self-employed, a side hustle, into really having a business.
Yes, most definitely. I definitely felt more professional and not just winging it. Yeah. I felt more confident presenting myself to new clients, especially when it came to asking for higher and higher fees. Yeah, there's all sorts of benefits.
And one of the things that you're talking about with asking for higher fees, that's like the biggest challenge that every single firm owner that I speak with has. It's something that I love hand-holding people through. And as you were getting your current clients up to your new rates, what were you noticing? Like, what was the reaction, and how did that work for you and your firm?
I've had initially it was good. They loved me. They loved the work that was being done. They weren't going to go anywhere else. So, and I also had the comments, I knew this was coming. You weren't charging me enough anyways. And then but now I'm actually at a point where I'm trying to move a lot of clients from an hourly billing to a flat monthly rate, and building in like an increase, looking at like if I was to increase their hourly, what would the flat monthly be? And I'm starting to get some pushback on some of them because some of them are a big jump. And I am at that spot right now where I have to kind of just feel okay with losing some longtime clients if they feel like those price jumps are too high. So in the beginning, it was great because I was just incrementally going up, up, up. And everybody was fine with that. But right now I'm trying to make some corrections to some that still aren't quite up there. And I'm starting to have those harder discussions.
It sounds like you're actually at that next milestone of your pricing evolution, where you made some transitions and now you're ready to go from the hourly rate over to the fixed fee, because it is actually benefits for everybody in the long run. It's win-win, but people don't like change. So it definitely is something where you might have people questioning why you're doing this. They just want to stick with the old way of things.
Yeah, most definitely.
And when you decided to go into that coaching relationship, did you have any specific expectations, and did the expectations meet your reality?
I didn't really have any expectations because I didn't know. I'd never done it before. I knew I needed help, and I knew I needed help in all kinds of areas. I wasn't, I wasn't entirely sure how she was going to affect change in me, how I was going to embrace her suggestions. But the coach I ended up working with was so fantastic, and she really, through tough love, got me thinking in the mindset I needed to be in. So I didn't really have any expectations going in other than low expectations for my own performance, but the end result was fantastic. So.
And one of the things that I'm really picking up is that you made a great choice for someone that regarding the coaching, because what I'm hearing is that they were able to adapt to you and the way that you were working and your pace, and be patient with you when you needed the patience and the hand holding, and then be able to actually push you forward when you needed that little encouragement, as opposed to having more of a cookie cutter method where it really wasn't any access to the top coach in the business. So it sounded like that one-on-one experience was really beneficial for you.
Most definitely. And I'm glad you mentioned that cookie cutter because, we can read all the books we want. We can take webinars, we can watch videos online, we can do all of that, but those are cookie cutter solutions. And it's really important, I feel, to get somebody who's just one-on-one hearing you, processing your emotions and what you're dealing with, and the things that you're struggling with. And I think it also turns back on us because even as firm owners, we very often find ourselves being coaches to our clients. And a lot of what I hear in being a good bookkeeper, being a good firm owner, is to listen to your clients, really embrace what they're struggling with and find solutions that meet their needs, and learn how they operate and how they think, and then mold your solutions to fit them. And that's exactly what I found in a coach. And it was, I've not had much success in the cookie cutter solutions. So one-on-one coaching was instrumental for me to make any changes. Yeah.
It sounds like she did for you what you do for your clients.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Which is really, really nice to have. So coaching, did it have any impact on maybe your day-to-day operations? We touched on the systems a little bit, as well as how you make decisions moving forward.
It has, because I've noticed not only do I have her voice in my head, and it's so funny because still it's been several years since we worked together, but when I'm trying to think through something and I see myself veering off on the emotional, giving them some leeway kind of side, I can hear her in my head going, "Would you stop it?" And I love that because I need to have that little, the two angels on my shoulder telling me, which way I should be going. And she gave me a lot of confidence in making the decisions that I'm trying to make now. Yeah, and increased income. I mean, she definitely helped me feel more confident about charging what I'm worth. Yeah.
And you said that you were able to delegate more effectively. So what changed as far as the delegation part goes? Did your team build, or did you get some of the day-to-day tasks off of your plate onto somebody else's?
Well, I actually had two different coaches in that respect. The woman that we've been speaking of, she got me to think, okay, what absolutely has to be on your plate? What can nobody else do? Everything else needs to be on somebody else's plate. So, just make that list of absolutely everything that can only be on your plate and figure out how to delegate the rest of it. And that was big. So we spent quite a bit of time working through that list. And then I also met actually a leadership coach who was really helpful and took me and my employee through some training assessments, and I can't remember the different kinds we did, but it was really interesting to see how we fit together and as a team, because it's just me and one employee, how different aspects of what I'm weak at and what she's strong at, complemented each other. And that's been really eye-opening because her and I both are neurodivergent. So it's really important to both of us that we be gracious with each other and try to do our job so that it best suits the other person as well. We just went through a period where we were trying to figure out some of our own internal apps that we're using for our own communications and file exchanges and things like that. And, we had this whole conversation. Well, I really like this for this reason, and I need you to do this way because that works better for me. So working with the leadership coach really helped me understand how important it is to understand how the other person works. So that's really helped with delegating as well.
Anything else that you would see that shifted maybe regarding how you look at things, your perceptions, mindset moving forward?
I think just the overall having more confidence, acting
Mhm.
more like a professional service provider than just a, I don't want to minimize, but just
Mhm.
somebody who's
Yeah,
doing this on the side out of their spare bedroom
right.
in their house. People are fine doing that. But I felt like I needed to feel much bigger than that and maybe present myself bigger than that, because I personally struggle with self-esteem quite a bit. And so it was hard to get into that frame of mind when dealing with clients. So that's been huge. And then just second guessing things I do based on, yeah, I want to do it that way, but how would that other person do it? Kind of taking the emotion
Mhm.
out of it and trying to think, all right, what would my coach tell me to do? And what would that other business owner I know, what would she do? That kind of thing. So having that back and forth in my mind has also helped making decisions.
And one of the things that you mentioned earlier was before you started working with your coach, there wasn't a lot of structure or not even work agreements. So do you feel that you've gotten better at saying no and having boundaries?
Most definitely. Oh my gosh, yes. But it's still hard. Um,
Uh-huh.
but I definitely understand better now how that taking on that new thing or doing that extra special thing impacts everything else.
Hmm.
And I just had somebody reach back out to me. They were referred to me back in April, and they were humming and hawing, and they finally got back to me and said, "Okay, you were right. We've decided to go this route. I'm ready." And I'm thinking, well, I'm not ready now. I could have helped you back in April when we first talked, but I can't now. So even though it's somewhat of an easy job and I would be able to do it, I've made the decision to tell her no. And I feel badly, but it's because I have too many other commitments right now that I'm working on, and she doesn't fit in my schedule anymore. And that's not something I would have done before. I would have taken her on and then bagged myself down and then not met other client expectations because of the excess workload. So, yeah.
And kudos for you for doing that, because that is really hard, especially when you're so client-centered. You really want to make a difference for your clients, and you can help probably almost everybody that comes to you.
Yeah.
So that's a big leap that you've made, Dina.
Mhm.
And because you've had better boundaries in place now, how has it had an impact on you as well as your team?
It's been great. I mean, I used to have a couple of years ago, actually, when I worked with this first client, I had this first coach, I had a different employee. And she was very stressed out all the time. And I know it was because I didn't set boundaries with clients. And I know it's because I didn't have the confidence to stand up for her and advocate for us. And
Mhm.
I allowed them to walk all over us. And after she left, I realized the mistake of my ways, and it was important to me to change that. Um, Going forward and making sure that I put us first all the time. Yeah,
I think that that's so important, because my feeling is that it's easier to replace a bad client than a good employee.
most definitely.
You want
Yeah,
to hold on to those team members. They are high value and hard to replace.
very much so. Yeah.
And anything else that maybe, one of the things that came up as I was listening to you is that I feel that you've had a lot of personal growth
Mhm.
because you decided to make some decisions in how you're approaching your business, and that you needed to grow in order for your firm to grow as well. What are your thoughts about that?
Most definitely. I mean, I've touched on that quite a bit already.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
you know, maybe acting like I'm bigger than I am and getting myself out there more,
Mhm.
and just being more confident when talking to new clients and making sure that I put my team first. I think I've just lost my train of thought on that one. So
We were taught about your personal growth and that you
okay.
needed to grow in order for your firm to grow. And
Yeah.
you're right. You mentioned so many different things that you've done
Mhm.
in a relatively short period of time.
Mhm.
So If there was maybe a firm owner that was listening to this and was thinking about coaching, but maybe had some of those hesitations and doubts, any words of wisdom based on your own experience, Dina?
Oh boy. I think if you're already thinking about coaching, you know you have a problem that needs to be fixed, and you already realize you may need outside help. And that's the first step. I mean, even realizing that you have an issue, of course, and I was thinking about this earlier. It's kind of like therapy. When you decide you want to start going to therapy, there's good therapists out there, there's bad therapists out there. You never know what you're going to get. But getting a good therapist make all the difference in the world for you personally and business wise. But when it comes to coaching, I would say, look for, maybe even stalk a coach for a while online. Stalk's not a good word, but you know what I'm saying. Follow them on social media, read their blogs, watch their videos. You need to see if you have a connection with that person, because you really need to be able to work closely with that person. How do they speak to their audience? Do you feel like they're speaking to you, or maybe do you feel like it's maybe not be a good fit? And I think that's the best way to really go out and find a coach. See if they speak to you through what they're already putting out there to the world first. Does their content connect with you? Do you like their personality? And then reach out and see. I mean, sometimes you can do just a one-on-one kind of consultation before committing to any time, and then you can get a feel for how they are. And you just really need to jump in. I mean, they will end up paying for themselves in the long run. My first agreement where I thought the $500 a month was a lot of money, and it is, it definitely had paid for itself, and it will, as long as you're committed to making the changes necessary in your business. And you just need to jump in and do it, because like I said, if I wish I had done it so long ago, I mean, where would I be today if I had started so many more years prior? So, I mean, just do it now, and the closer you'll get to your dreams, the sooner you'll get there.
And it took you getting out of the office to a conference to really open up your world. And that, I think what you mentioned is really important about finding someone that you feel you have a connection with, because this is a very close working relationship where you're talking about things you're not going to be talking about at the office water cooler. So you need to feel that you can be transparent with this person and that it's a safe relationship.
Yes, most definitely. Yeah.
Dina, you made some great points today. I always enjoy these conversations. Some of the things that we talked about is why an accounting firm owner might want to turn to coaching, how to really measure that transformation, and also tackling maybe some of the specific obstacles, whether it's increasing revenue, improving efficiency. So if somebody wanted to connect with you further and find out more about you and Smooth Sailing Business Solutions, what's the best way to do that?
I am all over all the social medias. My handle in most of them is Bookkeeper Regal. It's BKKPRGAL. You'll find that on Instagram and Twitter. My website is smoothsailingbusinesssolutions.com. Easy enough. Yeah, I'm all over all of those social media pages all the time, so I'm easy to reach.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the engaging conversation. And to everybody that joined us, this is Lauren Fogelman with Business Success Solution, showing accounting firm owners how to double their income working half the time.